Hello, in this video I'll try to explain the concepts of the IP address and the network mask. So the IP address first, as the name implies, it's the IP used in Internet. The IP means an Internet protocol, so it is the protocol used through the Internet, which is a huge network. In fact, Internet is a network of networks. So the IP address is the address that we can use for managing all the networks in Internet. And for defining what a network is, we need two different concepts. So a network needs an IP address and also a network mask. Let's check the format of the IP address and the network mask and see how it works. Okay, the IP address is 32 bits for a computer. Those 32 bits we group in 1, 2, 3, 4 bytes. Remember that 1 byte has 8 bits. So the 32 bits of an IP address are 4 different bytes. And we used to represent those bytes in decimal. So for example, an IP should be 1.1.1.1, 4 different numbers separated by 1 dot. Each of those 4 numbers is 1 byte. So that's our way of expressing that, but the computer just needs the 32 bits of an IP address. One IP address has two parts. One is the network part and the other one is the host part. Why is it? All the computer, all the hosts, all the equipments in one network should have the same bits in the network part. So they will be in the same network. Whereas all the computers in a network should have different bits in the host part because they should have different IP addresses. So those 4 numbers have two different meanings. One part of those 4 bytes, one part of those 32 bits is for the network part and the other is for the host part. So depending on the amount of bytes used in the network part, we'll have bigger or smaller networks. And that's the concept of the network mask. The network mask is what defines the size of a network. And how is it done? Just putting ones in all the bits in the network part. So for example, if our network part are the 14 first bits, those 14 first bits, we have to put in those 14 bits 1, 1, 1 in every single bit in the network part. Whereas in the host part, we'll have to put 0 in every single bit in our host part. That is the way we express a network mask. That's the way a computer needs a network mask. For us, that's difficult to understand and to remember, so we'll use two different ways of representing that network mask. One is called CIDR. Let's write it. CIDR means classless interdomain routing. And that way of expressing the mask is the simplest one, because we just need to count the number of bits in the network part. So if in our network part we have like now 14 bits, our CIDR mask will be just slash 14. That will be the network mask used in that case, because we just have 14 bits in our network part. But how can we express that mask in decimal? Okay, so for expressing that mask in decimal, we have to group all those 32 bits in bytes. So, like we have up here, we have 4 different bytes. So, let's express those different bytes in decimal. Okay, first one, all the bits in that byte are at 1. So we know that it has the value of 255. Okay, that's the first part of our math, 255. Okay, next byte. Yeah, we had something mixed here. In that byte, we have some part that it's in the network and some part that it's on the host. So now it's not 255. You have to count to convert that value to decimal. If we had all those bits at 1, it will be 255. So we have to subtract those 2 bytes that are at the value of 0. So it will be 255 less 1, 254, less 2, 252. So it will be 252. And then the other bytes are easier. That's all at 0, so it will be just 0. And that's all at 0, so it will be just 0. Okay, so we have that our 14 mask, which have 14 bits in the network part is got a decimal mask of 255.255.252, sorry, .0.0. That will be the decimal expression of that mask. So nothing but that. Any mask has to have ones at the left and zeros at the right. You can't mix ones and zeros in the network mask. You will have as many ones as bits you have in the network part and as many zeros as you will have in the host part. The sum of the total would be just 32 bits, like an IP address. And then you could express that mask in 2 different formats. One is the CIDR, which is just counting the number of ones. So in that case it will be slash 14, because you have 14 bits in the network part. And the decimal way of expressing the mask will be grouping those bits in groups of 8, it is in bytes, and putting the value of each byte. That first byte is 255, that second byte is just 252, and then the third and fourth byte have a value of 0. That's how we express the mask. And with that we can know the size of the network, because in the host part we got, in that case, we've got just 32 total bits less 14 we've got in the network part, so it's 18 bytes, 18 bits, sorry, for the host part. With those 18 bits, we could have as many as 2 at, let's calculate that, 2 at 18. So it's a huge number. Okay, we can see it here. Let's move here. Okay, so here you can show the number of hosts we can have in that network. That will be 264,144 hosts. If our network would be smaller, we could have more hosts. If our network part will be bigger, then we could have fewer hosts in our network. So that's the meaning of the network mask, just defining the size of a network, putting ones in the bits that are part of the network and putting zeros in the bits that are part of the host. Okay, nothing more. Thank you for watching.